So this was the introduction into the second part of our evening. That's going to tell you about some important things also in our traditional folklore and maybe the traditional mindset. Because we all are playing Latvian traditional instrument called kokle. And you can also repeat this word, kokle. Very good. And this is a very specific instrument for this Baltic region. And I know that some of you that I met together with Rīgas Danči also in our event in September already are specialists in this instrument, and that's very beautiful. And I also would like to share this message with some persons who don't know yet what is this. The song that we just were singing was about a young girl which is one day hearing that someone is playing kokles so beautifully. And she hears that guy playing and she thinks, wow, I'm going to meet him, I'm going to say hi, and I'm going to marry him because he's playing so beautifully. Basically, that's how Latvians are getting married. That's like typical. If you hear someone playing kokle, very cool, that's the one. That's the soulmate. And why? It's actually a man, because in all times, in all days, women were not playing musical instruments more or less at all, and also kokle was not exception. So that was mainly played by men. And we have a lot of stories and a lot of songs about this instrument. And one of them is about a young girl which wanted to make a flower headband. That's the ones that we are making in the summer. So she went next to the river to pick up some flowers, but suddenly she fell into the river and she drowned. And later, in the same place, there was a tree growing, and there was advice from the god to the brothers of this girl that they should cut this tree and make kokle, because then the girl's soul would still sing in this instrument. And that is why also in our traditional folklore we have a lot of folk songs, a lot of tales. And in our national library, there over the river, there is the closet of our folk songs. That's how it's called. I think it's on the 5th floor, if I'm not wrong. You should check, please help us to remember. But I think it's on 5th or 3rd floor or 4th. There are a lot of floors, sorry. But it's also exhibited so you can see it. And it has a lot of tiny drawers, and in each drawer there are collected Latvian folk songs that were started to collect by Germans, and then later on Latvians took over this and collected approximately 2 million different texts. Each text is consisting of 4 rows, so it's like haiku in Japanese. So it's typical for us that first 2 rows are telling about the nature. For example, oh, there is such a beautiful tree growing, oh, it has such a green trees, and then green leaves, and then the second 2 lines are approximately like, oh, why I'm still alone in this world, I need also a friend, or something like that. It's very hard to translate them. And they are actually telling about all of our world in our like human life, because and not only human, because it tells about for example, they are collected in several books, and one book is about, for example, the working songs that you are singing during your working. There are some songs that are war songs. And then songs that were sung during Midsummer Fest or Christmas. And then there are some songs that were wedding songs. There are some songs about sex, about death, about mythology, for example, the relationships between the moon and the sun and the stars. So they are consisting of all our human and not only human life. So we are very glad that we do still have these folk songs, and that's where also our beliefs and our traditions are based on the real texts gathered from real people. And next song that we're going to perform is also one song that is about this, I would say almost this time of the year, that we don't have that much sun here, but we have sun in our heart. And in these November days when we are celebrating the birthday of Latvia, it somehow rings the bell and gives that right feeling. We are also playing the biggest and the only kukla in the world. And there is a very interesting story that actually also reveals a page of Latvian history as well, that I would like to bring here on this table today. And it is, this instrument was made by Eduards Krauksts in 1947, but this is a copy that was made in 2022 by master Rīgas Valters. And this instrument is very special, because if you would have asked us some 3 years ago if something like this exists, we wouldn't have known it. Because this instrument was played by Eduards Krauksts, and he was making a lot of traditional musical instruments. Yeah, it's 2 meters and 9 centimeters long, and it is pretty heavy, and yeah, please don't drop it. And what is the most interesting part is that why actually we didn't know that something like this exists. It's because Eduards Krauksts was traveling around Latvia with his ensemble, and afterwards, when Latvia was occupied, he had some problems with Soviet authorities. And that's why he moved away from the city where he lived. He told everybody that his workshop with all the instruments burned down and that they don't exist anymore. And he moved to Jūrmala, that's next to Riga, and lived there all his life afterwards. And after he passed away, only some 50 years after, his family found in a book at their home a letter from him that told that actually the instruments that he made were not destroyed by him, but that they are still in the attic of their house. So the family kept all those instruments, and accidentally also we, Riga Latvian Society Folklore Commission, got this information that something like this exists. And so the replica making process started. The original was made out of strings from a German telegraph line that were still laying here after the Second World War, because you see that the instrument is so long, and if it was built in 1947, there was not much material to build it from. But he still did it, and on both sides of the instrument there are special signs that are actually 2 folk songs that he has written on the both sides. And luckily, also his notebook was found, and we were able to understand what those folk songs, we were able to understand that those are folk songs and what they mean. And on one side there is a folk song, all the bears and all the wolves in the forest, please be aware, because I have young brothers that are going to go into the forest, and also 6 dogs, and we will catch you. But on the other side, there is a message for you all, and it tells, young girls and young boys, don't sleep during the midsummer night, because if you will be awake on 21st of June, then you will be able to see how the sun is dancing.